Hi, my name is Heather, or Sassy Science Soul Sister, and I'm going to be talking to you today about the top 5 health concerns that women are dealing with, and hopefully a solution to them, which is a compound called C60, or Buckminsterfullerene, or buckyballs for short, or carbon 60. So let's start. The top 5 health concerns for women are health disease, breast cancer, osteoporosis, depression, and autoimmune. So we're going to start first with heart disease. So heart disease is understudied, underdiagnosed, and undertreated. And 1 in 3 women will die from a heart-related disease. That to me was pretty significant. The risk factors, and here's the thing. Heart disease is chronic and cannot be cured. So here are the risk factors. And a lot of these factors are something that you can actually change about yourself. So let's start with smoking, diet, lack of exercise, obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, depression, autoimmune disease, and pregnancy-related disorders. So we're going to go into autoimmune a little bit later, but once you have an autoimmune disease, most people have more than one, so on and so forth. And everything is very cyclical. And then we're going to go next to breast cancer, which your risk factors are, and there's a lot of them: hormone replacement therapy, menopause cycle, alcoholism or alcohol, smoking, obesity, oral contraceptives, aging, genetic factors, high fat diet, your age and race, and not having any physical activity. As well as not breastfeeding. If you never had children, you haven't breastfed, because one way to clean out your system is through breastfeeding. The downside is it will go to your children, but if you've never been pregnant before, you're not breastfeeding, that's another way to get out the toxins. And personal history. Here's another fact that I did not know, which is 30% of all cancers are breast cancers in women. So that's a really high statistic. Also, these chronic inflammation, which we're going to be talking about a lot, could be caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites, and all those things could be causing cancer. So sometimes you'll see that one thing is causing another, and so on and so forth, and it ends up just becoming a very unhealthy cyclical cycle. The third is osteoporosis, and the risk factors are as follows: alcohol, corticosteroid use, low calcium, low estrogen, smoking, and having a sedentary life where you're not really moving around too much. Fourth is depression, and the risk factors are inflammation, which you're going to see that one a lot, low dopamine production, low motivation, and they theorize that it could be because the hormones, the brain chemistry, and inflammation in women makes it a little bit more chronic with women instead of men. They are more likely to develop than men. And fifth, and not least, is autoimmune. And your risk factors are stress, other autoimmune diseases, because one autoimmune disease can cause more autoimmune disease. It's very cyclical, unfortunately. And I'm going to go into some of the stats for the different types of autoimmune diseases, because I found this very interesting. It seems to be at least 2 to 1 women to men, that women are more susceptible to autoimmune because of stress. When you have oxidative stress, you have stress. Stress leads to inflammation. Inflammation leads to all diseases. Autoimmune being the hardest because the body attacks itself. So one of the ones that is close to my heart was Hashimoto's disease, which is actually what my mother had before she passed, or they call it thyroiditis. That's 10 to 1 from women to men. Rheumatoid arthritis is 2 to 1. Multiple sclerosis is 2 to 1. Scleroderma is 3 to 1. And we also have Sjogren's syndrome, 9 to 1. And you have PBC, which is primary biliary cholangitis, or primary biliary cholangitis. Yes, that's at 9 to 1. There could be an underlying retrovirus bacteria infection that is causing that inflammation for these autoimmune diseases. There's a lot of things that could be causing them. And now we're going to start talking a little bit about how can we fix these issues. I was listening to a talk. I'm taking a product called C60, like I said. It is usually put in olive oil, which is your longer chain acid. You have your medium chain triglycerides, and then you have your long chain triglycerides, and you have your small chain triglycerides. So basically, C60, I've been taking it in coconut oil, which is usually half as strong. It's a medium or small chain triglyceride. It takes a little bit longer to go through your system. If you have any stomach issues, those are the ones you want to try. Coconut oil, avocado oil. If not, olive oil is actually, that's where the clinical studies were done. And it goes through your system a little bit faster. So that is something to think about. C60 basically comes from giant red stars and also comes from a bit of the wick on your candles. And it helps get rid of oxidative stress. It has 5 sides. It's a three-dimensional structure that looks like a soccer ball. That's why it was named after the architect Buckminsterfullerene. So how does C60 work, and what's so great about it? It's a super antioxidant, so it doubled the lifespan of rats. That is huge. One of the things that it does is it brings up your ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy of the cell that is produced in the mitochondria. It also increases the pregnenolone, and pregnenolone is the precursor to all of your hormones, testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. So that's very, very super, super important. I worked in hormone replacement for 7 years, and that was always something we talked about, especially with women. The dosing can be hard for both men and women. You don't get it straight. This really just relieves the oxidative stress, which is a free radical or electron just floating around. It attaches to it and pulls out of your body. So that gets rid of the oxidative stress, which gets rid of the stress, which gets rid of the inflammation, which is the primary cause for all the disease in your body. So. And the thing with breast cancer, the women usually have low magnesium, and you want to take calcium and magnesium together because you cannot process magnesium without calcium. So the thing about C60, it's something you're going to add into your repertoire of things that you take for the day. It's not going to take away from your probiotics, which are super important. We're going to talk about that later. Any vitamins, nutraceuticals, anything that else you may take. All it's going to do is get rid of the extra stress. So it's going to allow the body to kind of function at its true form without any kind of inflammation. And it's, in essence, taking away the inflammation so the body can kind of restore and heal itself, if you will. And it's not nanotechnology, it's not a probiotic, it's not a vitamin, it's nothing else like that. It literally just attaches to the free radicals and pulls them out of your system. And again, free radicals are the number one cause of oxidative stress, and inflammation. So you also want to be able to take vitamin D and K together. For women, there's a lot of vitamins that we should always be taking every day because we work so much harder, I think, than men, and we take on a lot of the stress. And you're going to see, stress is one of the number of reasons that autoimmune diseases exist. And they also can cause any other issues as well. And what happens is women, we are mothers, we are children, we are caregivers, we are parents. We take on a lot of the stress, and we constantly take that stress on. We really take care of ourselves. We need to take care of our mental health, our physical health. It's very important that we take care of ourselves and take that time to keep ourselves healthy. Because if we're not healthy, guess what? The whole ship goes down. Everybody else isn't going to be healthy. And when you're healthy and your body's regulating, you're happy, you're able to do your job. It's kind of like having an avatar or a second version of yourself to do the work you have. You now have the energy to do things that you didn't do before, which is amazing. For me personally, I have seen a lot of results, specifically sleeping better. You're only supposed to take about a teaspoon a day. I take about half a teaspoon in the daytime and then another teaspoon at night. You don't have to do that. If you have any kind of disease, autoimmune disease, or any issue that you're dealing with, I would say take more like, you could take upwards of, say, a tablespoon a day. And or otherwise, if you're an athlete, that would be another purpose. You can see benefits if you're taking more than you should. You may see benefits as more like psychic abilities, if you will, which was one of the things seen by a doctor who was dosing a little bit more. For me, like I said, I've changed the way I do my protocol. I do it in the morning and at night, and I've noticed I sleep throughout the night. That's also going to help you, and I don't wake up, which is great. And I feel great. And I also noticed sensitivity in my nipples, more like when you're breastfeeding. I've actually felt that for 2 weeks straight, which to me is an indication that it's increasing my hormones. It's also going to help your libido. Everything I'm speaking about, this is I'm really going over a talk that was done by the CEO and his wife, who she happens to have been on C60 for 2 years and also has an autoimmune disease. And I use C60. Purple Power is the company that I use. I'll put a link down below so you can click on it. And it's also, once you start ordering, you'll see that you'll be getting like an email in maybe once a week, and they do different talks on different issues, and a lot of those are testimonials. So in doing this video, not only am I trying to educate individuals, but it's also my testimonial, and I've only been taking it for about a month. I don't have any really pre-existing conditions, so it's hard to tell if that is something that a lot of different things that are happening. Like I said, if I was to test my hormones prior, I probably would notice that an increase in my hormones, and due to the nipple sensitivity, that gave me that inclination. Again, I didn't test it, so I can't say for sure. I'm just going off of what I noticed. It has also increased my libido, and not that I need that, but it is a benefit. Also for men, it will increase their testosterone. Again, these are from testimonials. So men and women can both benefit from this. I'm more specifically talking about women's issues, A, because I'm a woman, and B, I know many women that are dealing with different autoimmune diseases as well as other diseases and conditions, and they're, they are lifelong, they're chronic. And if you could take something that's going to help you and make you feel better and allow you to get your job done and do what you do every day, and be healthier, why not? Why not? So, and another thing with the osteoporosis, medication kills the osteoclast, which is there's cells that break down bone, and then you have your osteoblasts that make the bone. So if it's counterintuitive, because you need the osteoclast to break down the bone, because otherwise what happens is the osteoblasts are just going to keep making bone. So it's imperative that they both do their job. So that's also something to think about. And with the C60, again, all it does is get rid of the free radicals, the oxidative stress, and it allows the body to pretty much heal on its own and do its own things. I've also heard about it being taken topically. Say you have a cut or something, or a wound, and you can just take a little oil and rub it in, and it'll help you heal faster. Also, the CEO of this company said he was in a motorcycle accident, was able to rehab from that much more quickly. So we're not just talking about mentally and internally, but you can also see physical results as well. And I guess that's really how we know is how we feel and what we see, what we see happening with ourselves. And myself, I was a test rabbit for it, because I decided, let me look at the talks and find out about this. C60 is amazing. The interesting thing about it, or carbon 60, is the scientist that discovered it. Him and his team, his graduate students, discovered it from Rice University in Texas. He passed away in the late 80s, in 89, if I'm not mistaken. Early 91, it was named after Buckminster, which is an architect, because he makes dome-like structures. And he actually won the Nobel Prize for discovering C60 in, I think, 1996, if I'm not mistaken. So it has been around. Again, it comes from giant red stars, and has pre-existed probably humans and everything else. Obviously maybe a part of the universe, if you will. The thing with depression and risk factors for depression is a risk factor for heart disease. So you'll see that a lot of these different diseases, what you'll see is one of those things will actually be a risk factor for another disease, and it just keeps going around in circles. C60 passes the blood-brain barrier, and it stimulates the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. That's where the ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is produced. It produces energy for the cells so that everything works better. Without any energy, nobody can do anything. That includes your cells. So I'm not going to go into how it all works, because it's not necessary. So C60 buffers calcium in the cells, which is in the mitochondria, so it allows the nerves can fire and recharge more efficiently. Also, the synapses will be working better, and this is specifically in your brain, your dendrites. Like when you have dementia, Alzheimer's, which my mom had, you'll notice that there's a plaque what happens is there's plaque formation, and it's kind of like telephone. The dendrites aren't able to, and the axons are not able to get their information over to the synapses, and the conversation ends because of these plaques. So you're going to notice that because C60 passes the blood-brain barrier, that it's going to break down those plaques, and it's also going to help on a thousand other ways. I don't think really people understand how dementia, Alzheimer's really starts. And again, it's from anything that can pass the brain-blood barrier, which could be mercury. For my mom, an instance, her whole mouth was mercury and metal. And so that's not good. From spraying in the sky, glycophosphate, spraying on your foods. You have to be really careful of a lot of stuff that we are ingesting, either through the air, something that's in our mouth, or also something that you could be eating. Like for me, I immediately had that metal taken out of my mouth when I was younger. and had them put a resin in instead. And a lot of it's just education on things that you can do, but there's a lot of things that we are ingesting or taking into our body that is really causing more of the stress, and you don't really think about it because it's just something that you do on a daily basis. So that's another reason why I've become pescatarian, which is like vegan with seafood, is really trying to be careful of what I put into my body, because you are literally what you eat. So besides the stress and fear that these animals are fearing or feeling, and of course you're eating that, and stress is cortisol, which is your stress hormone. You're eating that as well. But we're going to go into talking a little bit about soy in a minute, and how soy is a big hormone disruptor, and especially for women. It does affect men and women because it'll affect your estrogen and your testosterone. So here's another thing about depression is a low level of inflammation causes dopamine to go down, and dopamine is one of your neurotransmitters: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. So then you just have, you're having the couch life. You don't really want to do anything. The C60, it lowers the inflammation, which allows the dopamine to be increased and allow your motivation to increase. So basically, again, what's happening is C60 is just taking out the negatives in the body and allowing the body to regulate properly. I apologize if I'm jumping all around. These are really my notes. I listened to like about an hour and a half talk, so I'm kind of doing a quicker version of it, because I really know nobody really likes to pay attention to anything for very long. But here's the thing. I'm talking to you about C60, carbon 60, which is really something that's going to change many lives, and I want to just share it with as many people as possible. And if you know anybody that has an autoimmune or has breast cancer or has heart disease or osteoporosis or depression, many of us know somebody, if not many people, especially women, talk to them about C60. Again, I'll put a link below, and you can do your own research. I'm OCD, background as I used to be a scientist, and then I worked in hormone replacement therapy. I've done a lot of research already. You can do your own. I implore you to do your own research so you can see for yourself about this compound and really what's so great about it. It's naturally occurring. It's not like it's made. It is taken out of a solution in a lab. There's different ways to do it, and the oils that are utilized by this company are actually organic. So that's really important, is what it's put in, how is it extracted, and how is it stored, how is it shipped, things like that. So there are a few companies that are good out there as well. I've personally only tried C60 through Purple Power, but as long as you're taking it, you really can't go wrong. And I can tell you, it's probably not more than a good monthly supply of probiotics. And again, probiotics are super important because your gut health is all very, very important, because your stomach is your first brain and your brain is your second brain. Okay, so C60 also protects the nervous system and allows for a healthy synapse, which I was already explaining before. So it allows and it promotes activity and communication. So again, when you have plaques and other things going on in the brain or anywhere else in the body, it's not able to do its job properly. So increasing the ATP and mitochondrial production is allowing the energy of the cells. So your cells are always replicating, and not every cell is healthy. But if it has a lot of ATP and has that energy, it's going to be able to do its job. And cells, their job is to bring different things around the body. And if they can't do their jobs and they can't get the nutrients where they need to go, then you're kind of at a standstill at that point. It also helps you with sleep, which I mentioned earlier, and it flushes out your unused proteins and toxins. Another thing that I want to mention is make sure you try to drink a gallon of water a day. It's not just for exercise. You cannot flush the toxins out of your body if you're not drinking lots of fluids. And also another thing to think about is your skin's your largest organ. So I actually don't use deodorant. I use like a salt, potassium salt, and it just kills the bacteria, but doesn't keep the toxins in the body. A lot of times your deodorants will stay on you for days at a time, and that's not a good sign. Your skin is your largest organ, and we sweat everything out. It also is a UV protector. I don't put titanium dioxide or any of those other metals, micrometals or nanometals on my skin, because your skin's your largest organ. So I don't use sunscreen. And if you look at what's in sunscreen, it's kind of the same stuff that's in your deodorant. You got to really be careful about what you put on your largest organ. You got to really think about that. And so C60 naturally helps with UV as well, so that's pretty awesome. And it also is great for fighting off bacteria. It gets rid of the biofilm, which is when bad bacteria grows, and it also helps promote healthy bacteria for your stomach, and the healthy bacteria can kill off the bad bacteria. So if you have a leaky gut, or you just have problems digesting stuff, definitely you want to keep taking your probiotics, take your C60. You can even take enzymes that you'll take when you eat. Again, your stomach is, if your stomach isn't doing well, your brain's not going to function well. You're not going to sleep well. You're not going to feel good. Like I said, it's your first brain, and you really have to be cognizant of that. So that's something to think about. And here's a very interesting fact: is the brain is 2 to 3% of the total body weight, of your total body weight, and it utilizes 20 to 25% of the body's total energy. That's huge. And also makes 20 to 25% of the waste. So one thing to think about is, if you do want to be functioning properly, you don't really want to have a lot of alcohol before bed, because alcohol turns into sugar, and sugar feeds. What else does it feed? What loves sugar is bacteria, the bacteria in your stomach. And from testimonials I have listened to, it also helps with hangovers. So if you are going to drink, I love me some wine, wine, champagne, they have the most sugar, again, feeding the bacteria. Maybe you want to go with something that is a little bit different in alcohol, like your higher proofs, maybe a scotch, a whiskey, a tequila, vodka, something like that. Because it also affects your vaginal pH. Our pH of our vagina is same thing, like our stomach is more on the acidic side. By the way, our blood should be a pH of 7.35, which is alkaline. If your body's alkaline, disease can't grow. But if you are drinking, and you'll notice that the next day you may not feel good, you could also have an infection in your vagina. So taking your normal probiotics for your stomach will also help your vaginal bacteria as well, because we have a fully operating system. So, if you're going to have intercourse, you also have to think, the other thing about that is make sure that you urinate afterwards, so that way you don't get a UTI, which is a urinary tract infection. Keeping ourselves healthy, because anytime you have something coming into an open, fully functioning system, it will absolutely affect it. Not to mention, you could have allergies to condoms and things like that. So, you don't always want to just think about your gut health and your overall health, but you also want to think about your vaginal health as well. And also, C60 strengthens the immune system. So, if you are having yeast infections, or you're having urinary tract infections, you want to try cranberry juice, because that'll help break down the biofilm, which is that bad bacteria as well. So the thing about C60, it can be added on to any regimen that you're already taking. I'm not saying not to take it, but from the testimonies I've heard, from autoimmune to things like that, or thyroid issues, you're going to notice that you won't be taking as much as your medicine anymore, because you won't need it anymore. Medicine, just so you know, to me, it's called the big business of being sick. They never cure anything. The idea is to find your root cause of whatever your issue is and fix that. And for women, it seems to be, across the board, is stress and inflammation. And how did the inflammation start? And if we don't recognize how the inflammation starts, maybe we can fix it. And one of the ways to fix it is by taking C60, which will get rid of those free radicals, get rid of that oxidative stress, get rid of that inflammation, and which is the number one cause of a lot of these diseases that we see. So it's really getting to the root causes of things, and it's just taking out stress. It's not really doing anything else. Not a probiotic, not a nanotechnology, not a nutraceutical. None of those. And when you think of side effects, you think of adverse effects, which are your negative effects, right? But the side effect doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It can be positive as well. So, just getting a better night's sleep, feeling better. Like I said, I've only been taking it for a month, and I've actually been taking coconut oil. This formulation happens to be half as strong, and I'm doing a really small dosage. I had to look around a lot to see what kind of dosage to be doing, and, what are your ailments, and so what should your dosage be? And again, and any questions that you guys may have, you can always link it or write to me, and I'll definitely answer them as best as I can, or give you a reference so that way you can find the answer. Because I've had to do a bit of research to kind of find out just the basic information. Why more people are not talking about this, I don't know. I happened to listen about C60 because there was a Zoom interview with someone that I happen to follow already. And they talked about it. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then I watched another video, and then I was like, let me just try it. Let me just try a little bit. And I'm glad that I did. I just wish I heard about it earlier. So basically, if your body's alkaline, disease cannot grow. That was said by a doctor in 1905. An alkaline body, disease cannot grow. How do you keep your body alkaline? Well, that's a whole nother talk in itself. I follow an 80-20 diet, which is 80% alkaline, 20% acidic. Your most alkaline fruits actually are lemon and watermelon. So I make lemon water every day. It's not for everybody, but I love it. And it makes me happy. So also, if you have anything that's fermented, then you're fine. Anything fermented is fine for you to eat. It's all about the vinegar. You know, if you could take a shot of apple cider vinegar a day, it would be great for you. Also, if you get Charlie horses or you get nuts, and I used to get them very badly, very bad, very quickly, very painful. The quickest way to make it stop is vinegar, apple cider vinegar, a shot of that, and because that's giving you potassium as quickly as you can into your system, you'll notice that subsides. Side note. So what are some things that the bacteria in your stomach like? White sugar, flour, and alcohol. All good things, huh? And women are more susceptible to urinary tract infections, like I said. Also, the reason why is our intestines are shorter than men. Yay! And the things that bacteria love to eat and that break down into sugar or also could cause inflammation are coffee, alcohol, and smoking. You know, again, sugar is your enemy, not for just, you know, weight loss and whatever, but again, you know, yeast loves sugar, bacteria love sugar, you know, that's, you know, it's their favorite thing. You know, like I said, C60 fights free radicals and also restores your hormones. C60 increases pregnenolone, which is your precursor to estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So it's a precursor to all your hormones. That is huge. Again, I worked in hormone replacement for 7 years. I didn't think there was anything else. You know, your hormones from the day you hit puberty to the day you die are everything. So to know that this can naturally help your hormones, that's win-win. Help libido, win-win. And not just for males, but also for females. You know, testimonies are usually for males first because they're the ones who are testing it and then are obsessed with it, especially as we get older. Women just know there's an issue, but, you know, we have different measurements of testosterone is just not going to fix us. We need different measurements of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. It's much harder to regulate a female, in my opinion. Men are very fast and easy and quick, but this kind of helps us because this will allow us to be able to regulate ourselves more quickly without adding any more hormones into our body and having to worry about doing topicals and injections. Literally, you just take a dosage, you put it in your mouth. You don't even have to take it sub-Q or sublingual. You just, sublingual. You just put it in your mouth and swallow it, and that's it. And it's easy. I mean, it's that's it. I don't think we can make it any easier. Now, remember, when you're working, when you're taking this, you know, consider it a therapy and you're getting rid of the oxidative stress, you can't expect it to happen overnight. I like to say, figure out, maybe you could do your blood work, and if you've already have your blood work, have that on file for yourself. Remember the date that you started, and then go month by month. You know, don't expect, you know, it to be fixed overnight because you've been spending how many years putting, you know, stuff in your body and making your body toxic 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So that is something to think about as well. Everybody wants an answer and they want to fix that fast. It's not, you know, it took you this long to get here. It's not going to take you that long to get fixed, but it's definitely not going to happen overnight. But anything that can minimize any of the stress and inflammation in your body that's causing all of these issues and these diseases, why would you not? And no, I am not getting paid. I am not really. I'm not talking about C60 for any other reason that I know that it works, and I want to be able to talk to other people about it. And I'm mentioning the company that I'm utilizing because I can't speak to any others because I'm not utilizing them. But I can talk about C60 itself. So. Oh, here's something interesting. So this is what I wanted to talk about earlier was soy. So, you know, when you start going vegan, pescatarian, you'll notice that you want to eat more healthy. But a lot of the products that can be frozen or not, salad dressings, everything has soy in it, and it's horrible. And not only that, but if you're eating meat, your meat isn't fed grass anymore. Your meat is fed soy-based products. Again, you are what you eat. So when soy breaks down in the body, it produces, it's called phytoestrogens, and those phytoestrogens, they lock up the receptors of estrogen and progesterone. So you have a receptor right here, and it's waiting for a little estrogen molecule or a little testosterone molecule. Well, if it's already locked up with soy, guess what? It's not going to lock up with estrogen and progesterone. So that's something to think about. So no, you don't have to just be a vegan or a pescatarian to have to worry about soy. With my girlfriend and I, we just made homemade hummus, and if you want that recipe, I can give it to you. Just write me in the comments below. Also, I've been making my own salad dressing because I can't believe how much, and I'm also trying to do no gluten grains. I only do ancient grains, couscous, things like that. You realize that, our gluten is not the gluten that our grandparents had. It's not the same thing. They're putting chemicals in everything. And unfortunately, even with corn, I would say the majority of corn, if not all of it, is GMO in the United States. So, and corn is fed to our animals, and corn is put in everything. There's a lot of things that they use as cheap substitutes. And what I was paying for these organic vegan salad dressings for about 11 ounces is paying between $3 and $4. My girlfriend's like, you can't afford that right now. I'm like, all right, fine. So I decided to make my own homemade salad dressing. So there's a lot of ways to be able to do things that are healthy for you. And it may take a little bit of time, but you can do it in bulk. Like we literally made probably a pound of hummus, which normally would cost $5, $6, $7 in the store, and we made it. And it took us half an hour to make at most. And then of course you can add it the way you want. You can be edamame or something like that. So really, you need to take your life back. You need to be in charge. I'm 42 years old myself, and I've noticed that things have just started to break and just not work, and things are cracking and noises in my body, and I just don't feel good, and I don't have the energy that I used to, and that sucks. So if there's some ways that you can actually make yourself feel better, why not? I mean, I want to be able to live healthy as long as possible. So if I can stay healthy as long as possible and stay well, guess what? Less time in the hospitals, less time taking medicine, less time having to worry with pharmaceutical drugs, which, trust me, they don't fix anything. They don't cure anything. There is no money in the cure. So let us cure ourselves. Let us fix ourselves. Why can't we do that? Now we have that ability. To me, C60 is the tree of life. It's that tree that we've all been looking for, where we're like, oh, let's drink for a minute, we'll be great. Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen. And I implore you to look into it because I really like helping people. And if I find something that's great, I want to talk to other people about it. And I want to share it with as many people as possible, because I hate when I see someone that's in pain or sick. And look, if there's a way that you can help somebody else or help yourself, why not give it a shot? You tried every freaking thing else and hasn't worked? Probably not. I mean, let's just be honest. So again, I implore you to do your own research. You don't have to just listen to me. What else should we talk about? C60 cleans out the liver. Who doesn't need that? And like I said, it can help you with the hangovers. What else? Okay, so I'm going to go in really quickly. This is a little bit longer than I expected. This is my second video ever, so please bear with me here. So the benefits of C60, the most powerful antioxidant known. So it's a universal antioxidant, and your universal antioxidants are things like superoxide dismutase and catalase. Catalase breaks down sodium hydroxide into water into oxygen. And so a super antioxidant isn't just an antioxidant, it's like a super powered antioxidant. It's like having a super yacht versus a mega yacht, if you know what that means. Okay, so 12 benefits. It increases longevity. And it increases longevity because it increases the length of telomeres. Now, telomeres are on your chromosomes, and telomeres, every time your cell replicates, they get shorter and shorter. So not only do you want a nice healthy telomere, but you want to keep that telomere length long. And in essence, if you would, it's the way that you can kind of live forever. Not that you'd want to, but if you're going to live long, you might as well live healthy. And that is huge. So your telomeres are basically your scientific measurement of aging, and you can look into that as well. I've never seen anything else. I maybe have come across one other product that would help or suggest that you could keep your telomeres healthy and lengthen them. But now we're talking a whole nother level here. We're talking, can I live 150 years? Can I live 200 years? That's pretty impressive. That alone is, it's sold if you understand what that means. And if not, look it up. Look at what telomeres are and look how important they are, and just do a basic, read of it. Anywho, okay, so increases longevity, reduces inflammation, supports the joint health. Also, it improves vision. The gentleman who's the CEO of this company was a scientist. He's a master's degree, 2 different scientific disciplines. I don't remember offhand what they are. And from what I understand is when he was doing his research, he ended up getting glaucoma. And it has since cleared up. So, wow, we're not just talking about stopping things, we're talking about reversing. When you talk about reversing any negative effects that's happened in your body, it's a whole nother level. And most people are just thinking about maintaining. And who wants to just maintain? I don't. If I'm going to end up being really sick, it's like, just shoot me now. I'm over with it. I don't want to have to try to fight it. But if you're going to give me a way that I can make things better, why not? Okay. Improves immune function. Again, immunity is super, super important. Super, super important. I do not take the flu shot, which only covers a few of the strains. I don't really get sick. I think I've been sick for the first time in maybe a year or two. And I happened to be back in Jersey for the last 6 months, and someone got me sick. And then before it came back around again, I was like, vitamin C, probiotics, whatever it takes to stay healthy. So if you have a strong, healthy immune system and a strong, healthy gut, you're going to be able to do pretty much anything else you need, not to mention getting rid of oxidative stress. Phenomenal. Okay. Also, improves cognitive function as your brain function. I know if I don't get enough sleep and I'm cranky and I'm just not there for the day, it doesn't matter how much coffee. I'm not really a coffee drinker. It doesn't matter what you're going to give me. I'm not going to be able to get through. I'm just going to get through the day the way that I have to. So if your body's not healthy and your brain's not healthy, then you're not healthy. Also kills bacteria and viruses. Who doesn't love that? Prevents UV damage, like I had mentioned prior. Supports weight loss. Yeah, who doesn't want to lose weight? Protects the nerves. And also, most importantly, what we are talking about is scavenges for free radicals. Free radicals are what cause that oxidative stress. So there's a lot of other things I could talk about. I'm trying not to get too deep into the science because I don't want to lose you guys. Here's the thing. Chronic inflammation causes cellular damage or DNA damage. Once you're talking about DNA damage, that's almost impossible to reverse. C60 gets rid of the oxidative stress, which is going to start reversing issues that you didn't even think were reversible. You're just like, hey, I'm just at the status quo and I'm just happy to get through my day. So, over time, what it's going to do is make your body, allow your body to operate. So it's not fixing anything. It's just taking away that extra stress that causes everything else and allowing the body to function as it should. Who doesn't want to feel great? I know I do. So it's getting rid of the oxidative burden. And I can't really say enough great things about C60. It's taken me a while to kind of get this video out because I wanted to make sure that I had the information properly. I really didn't want to sit here and read everything to you guys. But unfortunately, I don't have everything memorized, and I figured, let me just get it out and share it. And, even if you don't watch the whole thing, you just watch a little bit of it. I want you guys to share it with someone else that really needs it. Because if you could have a chance to help your loved ones and help yourself, why wouldn't you? And if you can feel better, then why wouldn't you? So again, it's C60 Purple Power. And that was really just my much longer talk than I expected about the top women's health concerns. I really hope everybody has a great day. I hope that this has been helpful. If you like what I'm talking about, hit the subscribe button on the bottom. If not, that's okay. And if you think that somebody else that would benefit from this information, please share it with someone else. Have a great day.